Hello, welcome back to another episode of Collector versus Hoarder. We are getting to the F, okay? But let's start out with a little story about being a collector. As most collector will tell you that there are certain aspects of collecting that has a lot to do with nostalgia. Okay, we are attracted to certain things that bring back fond memories, hopefully, right? Who want to be reminded of bad memories? But for me, I had talked about this maybe in a video or two, 5, 6 years ago. But you know how YouTube is, the old stuff get buried deep in the vault, and unless somebody get lucky and stumble across them, those videos, you may not be aware of my story as far as being a collector. It go back to living in Albany. I will try to make this as quickly as possible. I live in Albany. I moved to Albany in 1981. We live in a 3-story apartment on New Scotland Avenue, and I live on the 2nd floor. Well, we live in the 2nd floor, and then there's a single middle-aged person living on the 1st floor, and then there's a basement. And for me to bring the trash down to the basement, where there's a big, couple bin of things where we can put the trash, and then somebody, I'm not sure who, I think the owner of the apartment would pull the garbage bin, because the basement, even though it's the basement, there's a door that leads to the front of the complex, so that the trash can be put out once a week. But for me to do that, I had to walk down the back staircase. There is a back staircase to this apartment that go, you can go into the back and walk up all 3 flight of the complex, just like in the front. But I had to walk down to the basement to drop off the garbage, and on my way each week, or twice a week, whenever I took the garbage down to the basement, I see boxes. There was boxes and boxes of comic books. Okay, so very quickly after the first month or two living there, I noticed these boxes, and they were just like raw books, and I didn't know what they were at first. I wasn't paying attention. Plus, they were not my stuff, so I'm not like looking at them. But eventually, I had to look, and I saw these books with colorful pictures. And so, little old me at that stage decided to borrow a couple. I just grabbed a handful on the way back from the basement, and then go into my room and read them in secrets, right? And I have given credit to comic books helping me learn English, because I was barely in the US for 1 year at that point. English was not my first language, so reading comic books was a lot of fun for me to try to figure out what the words mean, at the same time using a dictionary right there. So it brought a lot of good memories. And this is before I bought my very first comic books. But one of the book that I remember vividly, I grabbed a lot of books, and this was not the very first book that I grabbed, but it's the one that imprinted the memory in me the most over the past many decades, is Marvel Greatest Comics issue 50. I did not know at the time that it was a reprint of Fantastic Four 67. Okay, I just remember the cocoon. Okay, I remember the cocoon, the image of the cocoon, and I remember flipping through the books. I didn't understand what I was reading, because the books that was in the hallway that I passed by every week, they were not in any kind of order. So it's not like I can pick up a series of books and read a story. It was kind of like a hodgepodge of books, all kind of different titles, mostly Marvel, mostly in the 70s and 80s kind of books. So I grabbed them, I read them, I flipped through them, I enjoyed them, but I don't remember much except that issue because of the cocoon on the cover. And then of course, you know, my sister, my older sister at the time, recognized and see how much I love these things and obsessed with these things, that she suggested that I go get a paper route to earn some money to go out there and buy some comic books, because on my way to school I told her that I walked by a comic shop, but I never go inside because I don't have any money. You know, I didn't want to go in there and be disappointed that I couldn't buy anything because I didn't have a nickel under my name. But so she told me at the time that, hey, you know, you're old enough, you turned 14 recently, so by law you can get a job, a paper route, and earn money. And she helped me open a bank account and all that stuff. So that's how I entered into the hobby. Like I said, I have told this story in a much older video, but eventually I bought my first issue, Iron Man 150, with my first paycheck as a paper boy. But yeah, so it was many years later that I stumbled across issue 67, Fantastic Four 67. It was many years later, I would say at least 3 or 4 years into my collecting, that I recognized and saw Fantastic Four 67 at a convention. I went to a convention because my LCS at the time, I don't believe I have ever run into a back issue of FF67 for whatever reason. I didn't see it, so it didn't really stir up any memory. But when I went to my first convention and walk through the convention and saw the book on the wall, that's when I was reminded, oh, Fantastic Four 67. Up until that point, I thought that reprint book was the only book with the cocoon on the cover. So for me, the Fantastic Four 67 has always been a key book outside of Iron Man 150, the very first book that I bought with my own money. No doubt, the cover, the cocoon, has always bring back good feelings, good nostalgia, because it's something that I always remember as the one book that I remember borrow. Mind you, I borrowed those books, read them that night, and then the next day I walked down the staircase and put those books back in the boxes. So I didn't steal them, because I borrowed them and I returned them in the same shape. For those that are concerned I did something wrong. But anyhow, so we are at the F, okay, and sure enough, Fantastic Four, I hoarded a lot of issues. I had tons of duplicates of all kind of, sure, on the issue 1 to 10, yes, I don't have duplicates, okay, I barely have one of each. But yes, when it comes down to FF67, guilty as charged. I think I pull out, let's see, what did I pull out? 1, 2, I pull out 3 raw and a slab, but I have a couple more. So I think, here you go, beautiful. Now for me, when I am hoarding this book, it was not because of speculation or potential value. I was just addicted to this book, especially one that has white covers like these, okay? Often this issue has tan and yellow covers, so whenever I see a high grade copy that has white covers, like this one, look at that one, 9.0 white page, couldn't help myself. But yeah, I think I have like six issue of this. I have only sold one. Over the many years of me selling stuff, over the past decade, I only sold one copy of Fantastic Four 67, only one. So, but it's time, you know, eventually I will get rid of all but one, and I already decided which one I want to keep. It's this one here. It's the widest of all white covers, and it is perfectly centered. and it's also about a 9.0. So I'm keeping that one. This one here is a 9.0 as well, but it's not as white as far as the cover is concerned. And that's it for this episode of Collector versus Hoarder. There are books that I hoarded for sentimental reason, okay? More so than because it's a great covers, or it's because it has, you know, some kind of monetary potential. This one was for sentimental reason that turned out to be potentially a good investment over the long run because of the way the movies and all that stuff is. But yeah, love me FF67. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.